Hi there. My name is John Stevens, pastor of Zion Lutheran Church in Oregon City, Oregon, and we're part of the ELCA, and welcome to Dollar Store Children's Sermons, where we take a look at the lectionary text, time to an item from the Dollar Tree. This is for the narrative lectionary, and we are in Exodus, and the opening line to this text is one of the most powerful lines for me. It's one of the most powerful verses, and it speaks volumes to the story. Now a new king arose over Egypt who did not know Joseph. There was a new king, and he didn't remember the story. There was a new leader that arose, and he didn't see what came before him. There was a new king, and he didn't remember Joseph. I mean, it's like, boom! There's so much, that the story that went before, and then this arises, and there's a whole shift of what's happening. A new king arose in Egypt, and he didn't remember Joseph. There is this powerful twist, a movement in the story that just speaks volumes. And there's so much to go, there's so much to spend on this story, there's so much to do with this story, but I keep getting drawn to that line. And a king arose, a new king, and he didn't remember Joseph. So the direction I keep getting drawn on this is the importance of memory. The importance of remembering the story before us, remembering the God that came before us. Now, granted, this new king that arose in Egypt, we can have all kinds of discussions on that, but I keep getting drawn back to that. And for the children's sermon, I'm going to talk about the importance of remembering a God that has been with us from the very beginning. It's the reason why we remember our baptisms. It's the reason why when we come up for communion, we dip our fingers in the baptismal font and we make the sign of the cross to say, God, I'm remembering that you claimed me. I'm remembering that you love me. I'm remembering this. And we are being remembered into the body of Christ because of the promise that you made. So using that line, and there arose a new king in Egypt that didn't remember Joseph, using that line as a remembrance, as a reason why we need to remember the story. We're having tonight, I'm recording this about an hour before we do this historical remembrance night at our church, at Zion Lutheran, looking at where we've been, what God has done with us, the churches that have come from Zion years ago, and then what God might have in store for us, but looking at where we were. And some of it's a lament, some of it's like, we're no longer the church we were in 1950. And it's not to say we wish we could be that again, even though that's somewhere deep in our hearts, but it's to look at where God has been leading us. And so you have this need for remembering where God has been faithful and God is still drawing us. So for the kids, maybe talk about, in the children's sermon, what are some of the ways you remember? I remember by using the Notepad on my phone. I remember by using a calendar. I remember by using a to-do list. I remember by having rubber bands on my wrist. Actually, these are for magic, but still, the idea of putting a string on my finger, that's the way I remember. We have ways that we remember in the church. When you come in and the color of the day is green, we go, oh, we are either in the season of Epiphany or we are in the Sundays after Pentecost, and it's all about to do with the growth of the church, and that helps me remember what we're focused on. We come up, we have the waters of baptism, that helps me remember. We have bread and wine, body and blood, and not only does that help me remember, but that in that gift of grace, we again are remembered as the body of Christ. Anyway, all kinds of stuff, but I keep getting drawn back to that line. A new king arose in Egypt, and guess what? Can you believe it? He didn't remember Joseph. What? So, there we have it. I'm hoping this can be a springboard for your thinking around your children's sermon. As always, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic week.